Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into a foundational text in personal achievement.
A classic.
Absolutely. Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, published way back in 1937.
Right, and it's amazing how relevant it still feels, nearly 90 years later. Its influence is just undeniable.
And what really grabs you is the backstory, isn't it? Hill didn't just, sit in an armchair and theorize.
Not at all. He dedicated 25 years interviewing over 500 incredibly successful people. We're talking Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Andrew Carnegie.
The titans of that era.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he was trying to figure out what made them tick, what their common philosophies were.
So the book is meant to be their collective wisdom, distilled down.
Pretty much. Actionable principles drawn from real success stories.
Okay, so our mission for you today is to unpack that central message, those key concepts. We want to pull out the timeless stuff, but also look at the criticisms and give it a modern perspective.
Yeah, see how it holds up. And the core message itself is powerful. It really boils down to this. Success, whatever that means to you, starts in your mind.
Begins in the mind.
Yes. It's about developing what Hill called a burning desire. You have to want it intensely.
Not just a casual wish.
No. A burning desire backed up by faith, belief in yourself and your goal, and then, crucially, taking persistent action, all aligned with a clear purpose.
And importantly, you said any goal, not just getting rich.
That's key. Hill argued these principles apply whether you want financial wealth, career success, creative fulfillment, anything significant.
Okay, so that's the big idea. But how did Hill suggest people actually, do that? He laid out 13 principles, right? Like a blueprint.
Exactly. The 13 steps to riches, as he sometimes called them, they're the actionable framework.
Let's walk through some of those. Where does it start?
It all begins with desire. And again, not just wanting something. Hill describes it as a definite purpose, backed by a burning obsession, knowing exactly what you want and wanting it badly enough.
So clarity and intensity.
Precisely. Then comes faith. This is about cultivating absolute belief that you can achieve that desire. Hill suggested using visualization and affirmations to build this conviction.
Feeding your mind the goal.
Which leads directly to autosuggestion. This is the technique, the mechanism for influencing your subconscious mind. You deliberately feed it positive statements, your specific goals, until it accepts them as fact, like programming yourself for success.
Okay, makes sense. Desire, faith, autosuggestion.
What's next? Specialized knowledge. This is interesting. Hill argued general education isn't enough for, say, significant financial success. You need specific, practical knowledge related to your field, your purpose, and you need to know how to apply it.
So knowing stuff isn't enough. You have to know how to use it effectively.
Exactly. Actionable knowledge.
Right. So those first few really set the mental stage. Then presumably it moves more toward action.
Yes, that's the next phase. You have imagination. Hill called it the workshop of the mind. This is where you form plans, generate ideas, solve problems creatively, and visualize your success.
Both creative and synthetic imagination, right?
Yeah.
Using existing ideas and creating new ones.
Correct. Then, very practically, organized planning. Desire and imagination are useless without a concrete plan. You need to figure out the steps and then, actually take them.
Makes sense. A plan needs action.
Which requires decision. Hill observed that successful people make decisions quickly and firmly, and they stick to them. Indecision, he thought, was a major roadblock.
That decisiveness seems key, not getting stuck second-guessing.
Definitely. And linked to that is persistence, maybe the most important one, just refusing to give up, pushing through failure, obstacles, criticism, that sheer tenacity.
You hear that again and again in success stories.
Absolutely. And finally, in this group, the power of the mastermind. This is a really fascinating concept.
That sounds a bit grand.
It is, but the idea is straightforward. Bringing together two or more minds working in perfect harmony towards a definite purpose. Hill believed this created a third, invisible, intangible force, a mastermind that could achieve far more than individuals alone. Synergy, essentially.
Like a collective intelligence boosting everyone involved.
Exactly. Sharing knowledge, brainstorming, mutual support. It multiplies potential.
Okay, so that covers the more practical and collaborative principles. But Hill also went into areas that feel a bit more, mystical or esoteric, perhaps.
He certainly did. And these can be the most challenging for modern readers sometimes.
Like the sex transmutation idea.
Right. The mystery of sex transmutation, it sounds unusual today. But Hill saw sexual energy as this incredibly potent creative force. He wasn't talking about suppression, but about channeling or transmuting that powerful drive away from purely physical expression towards achieving goals, creative work, business building. He thought it fueled genius.
So redirecting a fundamental energy.
That was the idea. Then there's the subconscious mind. He saw it as more than just memory storage. He believed it was the link between our conscious thoughts and what he called infinite intelligence, a sort of universal database of all knowledge and ideas.
A conduit to inspiration.
Sort of. And he discussed the brain itself as a kind of broadcasting and receiving station for thought vibrations, sending out your own thoughts, picking up on others.
That definitely veers into less concrete territory.
It does. And finally, the sixth sense. Hill described this as a kind of advanced intuition, a hunch mechanism, almost like creative inspiration or warnings received directly from infinite intelligence. But he stressed it only develops after you master all the other principles. It's the apex.
So a mix of profound psychological insights and more speculative ideas.
That's a good way to put it.
Given that mix, let's talk about the book's strengths. Why has it endured? It clearly resonates with millions.
Well, first, as we said, the timeless wisdom. The core principles, desire, planning, persistence, mindset. They're just as relevant now as in 1937. That focus on mindset is huge. Hill was really ahead of his time in emphasizing how profoundly thoughts and beliefs shape your reality.
The power of internal state.
Absolutely. Also, the inspirational stories. Using figures like Edison and Ford makes the principles feel achievable, you know?
Right.
Real people did this. It provides motivation.
It grounds the concepts.
And it gives actionable advice. It's not just theory. He tells you to write down your goals, make plans, use affirmations, form mastermind groups, things you can actually do.
Practical steps.
And, that psychological depth. Talking about the subconscious mind's power back then was quite cutting edge for popular self-help.
Okay, so definitely some powerful strengths. But like any influential work, especially one this old, it must have its criticisms, right? Things that don't sit as well today.
Oh, for sure. You have to read it with a modern lens. The most obvious is the outdated language and gender bias. It was written in the 1930s, and it shows. The language is very much of its time and heavily male-focused.
Reflecting the era, but noticeable now.
Definitely. Another criticism is that it's largely not evidence-based by today's scientific standards. It's based on Hill's interviews and observations, powerful anecdotes, but not controlled studies.
More philosophical and observational than scientific.
Right. And as we discussed, some of the esoteric concepts, the sixth sense, sex transmutation, thought vibrations, can seem pretty abstract or mystical if you're looking for purely practical, scientifically validated advice.
They require a certain leap of faith, perhaps.
Or at least a willingness to interpret them metaphorically. And finally, there's a real misinterpretation risk. Some people read it and think it's just about wishing for things.
The secret type of thinking?
Kind of, but Hill himself was adamant. It's belief plus relentless action. He emphasizes planning, persistence, hard work. It's easy to miss that and just focus on the thinking part.
So it's crucial to understand it's about mindset driving action, not replacing it.
Precisely. That's the crucial balance.
Okay, so considering all the enduring principles, the historical context, the criticisms, who do you think would get the most value from reading Think and Grow Rich today?
Well, I think it's still incredibly valuable for entrepreneurs, definitely. Business leaders, too. Anyone, really, with big ambitions who wants a mental framework for achieving them.
People starting something new, maybe?
Yeah, or people feeling stuck and wanting to change their mindset towards, possibility and abundance. If you like those classic self-help book 7 habits, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, this is kind of the granddaddy of them all. It fits right in that category.
So, a foundational text for goal-oriented individuals willing to engage with its, let's say, unique perspective.
Exactly. You have to be willing to chew on the ideas and adapt them.
All right, let's wrap this up. What's the final takeaway? The bottom line on Think and Grow Rich for our listeners.
I think the bottom line is this book is about far more than just money. It's really a system for harnessing your mental power to achieve any major life goal. It's about unlocking potential.
Focusing the mind, then acting persistently.
That's the essence. Thoughts are powerful, incredibly so, but only when they're fused with clear goals, unwavering belief, and most importantly, consistent, determined action. It's a classic for a reason. We rated it a strong 4.5 out of 5.
With the caveat to read it critically through that modern lens we talked about?
Definitely. Understand its context, take the timeless wisdom, and perhaps interpret some of the more esoteric parts in a way that makes sense for you today.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. If this combination, powerful thought, focused belief, clear planning, and relentless action could help individuals achieve so much nearly a century ago, What potential is lying dormant in your thoughts, your desires, right now, just waiting for you to ignite it with belief and action?
Makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.